I'm not gonna lie. If you were to get on Kareless, I would murder you. Funny, like if you were to do understeer per minute, I think Matt is on this on like 1 per. It's like a 1.5 to 1 ratio.
You say understeer all the time?
I just feel like in the course of 10 minutes, it just gets so crazy. If you average it out, it's like 1 to 1.5 understeer to minute. Yeah.
I think I'm just a race car driver here.
Okay, the season has finished, and it is time to get that car ready to possibly be doing Formula Drift this year. So I deferred my license for this year after winning Pro-Am last year, which means that, so how registration works for Pro Spec is the top 32 get first dibs on driving for the next year, and then it's Pro-Am winners from this year, and then it is people who petition for their license, and then people who deferred.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I didn't know that either.
That's news to, I think, any of us.
Yeah, so I didn't know that either. Nobody told me that. So basically, I'm in the last group to register, so I can only drive Pro Spec next year if there is still a spot available in the last group of registration. What I don't really know is you only get your license for 2 years, so I think if I can't drive this year, I technically would have to petition to be able to drive, or I'd have to go in Pro-Am again.
Well, I feel like as long as you compete this year, regardless if it's an FD or not, I feel like if you compete in other series and then petition for your license the next year, I don't feel like it'd be a big deal. I mean, you'd just be a part of that group.
Yeah, and I think I have enough guys in Pro Spec and like people who are affiliated with pro teams and stuff to like back my petition. I guess that'd probably be fine.
Well, I just feel like the petition is like, hey, I mean, I've earned my license, and I feel like if you did a whole year and you didn't compete and then you petitioned, I'd feel like you'd be at the bottom of that list.
Yeah. So I mean, worst case scenario, I'm pretty sure I could get in next year, but hopefully we can get in this year and go try that. But just in case, we're gonna kind of redo a bunch of stuff on the car and get it ready for FD on the off chance we get in. And if we don't get in, at least we get a season driving the car in FD form, I guess. So yeah, we weighed it earlier. Dustin, what did it weigh?
With a 3/4 tank full of gas, it weighed 2708.
Without me in it, right?
Yes, without you in it.
So it's like just under 29 with me in it. And we're going to be doing everything we're going to do in this off season.
2860.
Yeah, so everything we're doing this off season will add weight to that. So we're just going to try and be strategic about where we put the weight.
Well, it's not 2,500 pounds. So
that's good. It was heavier than I thought it was. But whenever I weighed it last, it was no body panels, low on fuel. It had a stock diff in it, stock axles, single battery, all that stuff. So that stuff just kind of added up. And was, I thought, which is good because the car was fast with it being heavier than expected, and weight plays a big role in that.
Yeah, we're going to add about 150 pounds of the car.
Yeah.
I mean, we're going to add probably another 2 to 3 gallons of water to the car. I mean, so that you mean you do the weight. I think it's what 7 or 8 pounds per gallon. Yeah. I have to go back and look, but so you add 3 gallons of water and then extra piping, and I mean it's gonna easily add 100 pounds of just miscellaneous nitrous bottle. I mean, there's 45 pounds there. So it's going to be pretty easy to meet our 2,900 pound goal. We may have to be a little, like we may have to add a little bit of extra here and there, but windows, you're going to add windows. I mean, every 10 pounds adds up to 150.
I mean, whenever I first built the car, it was 2565, and then just adding the stuff to make it not break anymore made it over 2,800 of me in it.
You got to go to 18s in the front. That's going to add another probably 3 or 4 pounds per wheel.
Yeah, bunch of little stuff. So making weight shouldn't be a big deal, but we're just going to try and do it in the most efficient way possible to make the car better as we add the weight. So today we're going to be we weighed it earlier, and now we're going to be making like a list of our like to-do stuff for the off season. Kind of figure out where we stand, I guess. So we're going to go ahead and make that. We'll kind of go over it so you guys can understand like what's going to go on with the car.
All right, so what is this?
This is Delilah's to-dos. If you didn't know, that car is named Delilah. That's a thing. All right.
Cars have names.
All right, so our objective here, make the car FD legal, make it faster, and make it nicer. And make it sound cool.
And hit the pace car.
Hit the pace car. Shout out Tom Cruise. All right. So we're going to do Rear rack, so we're gonna upgrade from V2 Wisefab to V3 Wisefab. It's a front rack kit, uses a BMW steering rack. You can run a rear sump oil pan, which is better in every way.
Rear sump oil pan.
Yep, right there.
PDM.
PDM, we're gonna upgrade to, I think, a Holley race pack setup. It's PDM, which will interface like the Link ECU that we have to upgrade to for pro spec stuff. You have to be legal there.
A lot of people don't know your car is fuses and relays.
Oh yeah, dude,
right now.
that was my very first wiring project. Well, I wired fans on my Z and then I wired my car. I had no clue what I was doing.
I think the only problem you've ever had is the switch went bad.
Yep, I've had 2 switches go bad, but my actual wiring has been perfecto.
Perfect. We're gonna do cool stuff.
Yeah, we're gonna do PDM, clean all that shit up. Whenever I wired my car, I didn't know what I was doing, so I decided I would loom every system, like every circuit. So like my fans are in a loom, my taillights are in a loom, my fuel pumps are in a loom. So I got like 15 looms in my passenger floorboard, and it's so bulky. Because in my mind though, like if something ever went wrong, like say my taillights weren't working, all I had to do was unloom one thing.
Yeah.
I didn't have to undo everything. I was like, that
well,
makes
luckily,
sense.
nothing ever went bad
But
except switches.
Yeah, usually it's only the ends of wires that go bad. So whatever. What does that say?
Which one? Number 2?
Yeah.
That's nitrous bottle and mount. Puts the giggle gas on there.
So when this bad boy over here got built by Smeding Performance, talked to Jacob and I was like, dude, those Formula Drift cars are fast. He was like, all right, you are fully allowed to run a 300 shot of nitrous on top of this bad boy. And this thing makes like high 500s to the wheel.
So that's a warranty.
I don't know about all that, but he's like, you good, bro.
Homie says, if the builder says 300, I mean 400 is probably fine.
Yeah, so we can run up to a 300 shot. Probably won't do that. We might. I mean, honestly, probably will. But yeah, car can be real fucking fast. So we're gonna have to do that. That's probably gonna go in the back somewhere. And then while we're already back there,
18-inch wheels, bro.
oh dude. So I thought I wanted to look like a Japanese boy whenever I built this car. So I put 17s in the front, 18s in the back, because that's what they do over in Japan. And turns out it just makes Wisefab a lot easier to control. Well, not control, but like not hit everything and anything in your wheel wells. But now I have to go 18, so that's gonna be a problem. And then the FD requires a whole lot of wheels, so I might actually have to make the step to not have gram lights. Or, we'll update you on that. We'll get there.
Electric power steering pump, dude.
Electric power steering. So my car is a turn 1 power, well for a long time I was a bone stock O'Reilly's F-body hydraulic power steering pump, and it actually never broke. The fan, or the belt jumped and literally like busted a hole in the reservoir.
We're having belt
it's belt problems, really.
75, 7,800 RPM.
Honestly though, like several things on here are simplifying the belt setup.
Yeah.
As one like the main things. Like the electric power steering pump, we eliminate the power steering pump pulley. We're gonna go electric electric water pump, which will eliminate that.
We will literally have
An
a
alternator.
crank pulley, a tensioner, and an alternator.
Yeah, so we're simplifying that setup because that's been probably our biggest headache with the car, I would say, this year.
Yeah, after we got most of the stuff figured out, it was
belt shit.
keeping the belt on the car.
Yeah, so we're gonna do electric power steering, electric water pump for the rear mount radiators. We're doing that.
Big front bar.
Big old front sway bar. Went to Chelsea to know if his class of thrash and learn some fun things. So run a huge front sway bar if you can. It's probably a good idea. We're gonna redo the exhaust to make it sound cooler and just be a little nicer. That's kind of Dustin's big thing. He wants
Side windows.
Yep. So after running Pro-Am, having to do all the FD safety stuff, I realized that I despise with every ounce of my being running arm restraints. So we're gonna put windows in the car because wait, didn't you write something funny? Oh, I can't.
Oh yeah.
Restraints suck.
Yeah, restraints they're not.
Restraints suck.
ECU.
All right. So with FD,
But we do plan on running dual, probably.
dual exhaust.
ECU.
Two ECUs.
Well, I mean, to do the however many rounds we decide to FD, they require Link.
Yeah.
It's not that we don't like Link. Holley is awesome.
Holley is one of my favorite.
They're on the car.
Companies.
Yep.
My boys Steve and Nick Swan. They're some of my favorite people in the whole wide world.
Yeah,
And they're
shout
Holley
out to
guys.
them
So if I had it my way, I'd be on a Holley ECU for the rest of my life. But To run Pro Spec, you have to be on a Link ECU. It is what it is, so we're gonna put that in the car. I mean, I've heard great things. I'm sure the ECU is fantastic. I'm sure it does all sorts of fun stuff.
It's a thing that controls all the other things.
Honestly, most ECUs on the market today are probably fine. But I like my Holley stuff. I like Holley. They're good people. So we're gonna have to do that, unfortunately, which...
Party lights? Dude, we're gonna have party lights. Look at this. Oh my goodness.
Type S Auto. This is the FD lighting kit. This bad boy does so much stuff that your Amazon underglow kit doesn't do. You wouldn't believe it. So stop being cheap. Buy Type S Auto.
Let's see, what else is important stuff? That's kind of it, man. I mean, we're gonna change some crash structure in the car.
Oh, there's a whole lot of stuff on here, but most of it's like little things just to make the car a little bit nicer. Like, I mean, it's also surface stuff.
We're gonna make it
box surface, AccuSump surface.
We're gonna put some aero stuff on there. We're gonna make it look cool.
Yeah, we're gonna make it prettier.
Exhaust stuff. We're gonna make it sound cool.
Yep.
We're gonna go so fast we get the pace car, and then like the stuff that's boring that doesn't really matter.
I mean, we pretty much talked about the cool stuff. Electric power steering, new ECU, PDM, new wiring. And my plan with this whole off-season deal is I want to video as much as you can so you guys kind of understand why FD is expensive and time-consuming and not for everybody.
Serious, man.
Yeah, like I want you guys to kind of understand how much goes in. So this car right here, as it sits, could go to Pro Spec and probably be competitive. Yet all of this stuff is just to make it able to go to Pro Spec.
Hey, we waited today.
Which makes no sense, right?
We waited. Did we talk about that?
We talked about weighing it earlier. And it was heavier than I thought, which is cool.
It wasn't much heavier than what I thought, though.
Yeah.
I was like,
120 pounds more than I thought it was.
He was 60 pounds heavier than I thought it was.
So you have to be 2,900 pounds and you have to run a 255 GT radial, which I've driven on that tire and the tire is really good. So even though it's small, it's honestly not a bad thing.
Yeah, I think an extra 150, 160 pounds isn't going to be that much different.
No, it'll probably be pretty similar. And we can probably use that weight to make the car faster, I think. And the car's already been, everywhere we've gone, the car's been one of, if not the fastest car in the whole competition. So
that part's easy.
That's pretty cool. But yeah, so with all this stuff, I want to basically do like an off-season series where it won't be like crazy high quality long videos, but like if we're hanging out and we're gonna rebuild the crash structures, I'll try and Dustin fabricate stuff.
Yeah,
he's very good at it.
I may film some stuff.
He's real good.
I may bring it to the shop, to shop that I work at, and do some of the stuff on the back. And video some of that stuff for you guys. Yeah,
I learned that if you don't know what you're doing with bending tubes and just doing even basic fabrication, it's really hard. So like with that stuff, I would like to kind of like have Dustin in a way give you some little tips and tricks to get you going and kind of make things a little bit easier to understand. And just kind of like just show you guys what goes into preparing an already proven Pro-Am car into a pro car and just kind of show you that it's not easy. Like there's a lot that goes into it, and these FD guys, they dedicate a lot to do this. So.
I mean, it's the professional motorsport of drifting.
Yeah, it really is, and it takes a lot to get there.
What's crazy is if you look at a lot of motorsports, there's so many levels to get to the professional series, and for us, it's 3.
And I'll tell you what,
it's Pro-Am, Pro Spec, and you're pro.
The fact that it's even feasible to get to a pro level in drifting with the like I guess finances that it takes is incredible. Like. It's obtainable by, oh God, like if you compare it to reaching the top level of say Rallycross or
I think it's
NASCAR.
Still cheaper.
Oh, it's hands down. It's so much more obtainable, which is why I think drifting will always continue to grow. Because people realize that if they want to get into racing, drifting is one of the few things they can get into where they can actually make it to a respectable level without millions and millions and millions.
Well, consider we only have 30 things to do.
I mean,
I feel like, I know 30 things sounds like a lot, but a lot of this is like moving parts around. You know, we're going to service the transmission. There's some parts in the car we'd like to replace. Yeah. There's some improvements. Like the exhaust can stay the same, but there's some improvements to be made.
I mean, honestly, I want it to sound cool.
Half these things we probably don't have to do. Honestly, probably 3/4 of things we don't have to do. But
I think all we really need to do is make the car heavier, put a different ECU in it, and move to an 18-inch wheel. Technically speaking,
probably a little bit more power. Other than that,
technically speaking, that's all it needs.
But we want to make the car really good. with, you know, what we got.
Yeah,
So,
I mean, if you show up to FD with the bare minimum, you're probably not going to excel. And that's just kind of how it is.
yeah, you're not going to show up with 450 horsepower and a good tire and
Yeah.
a mediocre car.
Yeah, you're not going to do well. So if we're going to go to FD, it's expensive as hell. If we're going to show up, we're not showing up to get 18th place. We're showing up with a car that is capable of winning on any given weekend, and it's up to me whether it does or not.
I mean, we got a top 5 driver. We need a top 5 car.
That's the hope. I don't want to show up and lose. If I lose, I want it to be because I made a mistake or somebody else was simply better that day. I don't want it to be because the car wasn't enough. So these 30 things on an already fast car might seem like a lot, but it's to make sure that the car isn't the reason.
Well, the faster the cars get, the smaller the changes get.
Yeah. So I don't know. We might find more stuff to do, but that's the basis of it. So I guess consider this like an episode 1 on the road to FD or something like that.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll check back in next time we work on the car, but I guess for today, that's kind of it.
Big gulp? Is this a big gulp?
Just a goal.
Wait, how hot is it? That
Come on, girl, just gulp her down.
it's not that hot. Okay, I didn't want to scold mine.
All right, hold on, let me see it. That's what's left in there. Go for it.
Good.
Oh, it's a full gulp. It's so hot.